Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me all right. Welcome to the Yissilmissil Productions channel. My name is Steven Yissil, and today, let's talk about it. Hope you're all doing well. It's a nice Sunday morning. We got overcast here in the Midwest. Still in the 50-degree range here. Good to see y'all here. So, hope you're all doing well. I figure I'll talk today a little bit about the channel here. Nothing too heavy. So, we have deep dives coming up that I have not started those series yet. Some of them will be pre-recorded. So I'm thinking Great Lakes Triangle may be pre-recorded. And I'm also going to be opening up memberships for the channel. And I'll be offering extra exclusive content for those that want to support me and my work here. Since everything on this channel is for free, it is not free for me to produce. It takes a lot of time. So I know some of you have expressed interest in supporting me that way. There's really no other way I can figure how to make this more profitable for me in a way. Yeah. Saturday's show went well. I believe we have 5 left before I take a 2-week hiatus. So that'll be a series that'll continue for the next 5 Saturdays. So until the 28th of June. I believe that's what we're looking at here. But I think I'll keep going through the first week of June, but just not that Saturday, since I'll be complete with the Flickering Empire book. We did complete the Bermuda Triangle book on Thursday, so we have to get another book to read for that, or other things to look into. And then on Tuesday's show with the Coral Castle deep dives, we are getting pretty deep into the Energy Grid book by Bruce Cathy. And man, does it really seem like I'm shadow banned with all of this, with the topics of energy. And really, I'm not surprised. But like I said, this is a 2,000 plus sub channel. Barely get anybody here for the lives. It's kind of sad. But it's nothing on me. I mean, I know I'm producing good content here for all of you. And eventually all of you watch post live. I do get a lot of messages saying that they only see my lives when I repost them as a regular video. So that's been an issue too with YouTube. And YouTube wants me to do a bunch of shorts, but like I don't really have time to do that. And I kind of got burnt out from all the Alt House shorts, to be honest. I made, I believe, 8 post the interviews. So like after everything was over with Tom Althouse, and I started this Let's Talk series, I made 8 shorts, and they all have hundreds of views. A lot different than my normal uploads. It's just kind of sad. YouTube's pushing the shorts in front of more people than the actual video content itself. So I really view the shorts as like miniature ads. You can't really get the sound bites needed in a minute or less. So like imagine me trying to tackle doing 1 minute shorts from a 5.5 hour live stream. Unless I throw it through an AI generator to generate the clips for me, then I'm just going to be spending week after week constantly producing shorts and having no other time for anything else. And I know some of the haters that might be watching think, oh, no, he's just lazy. He's not putting stuff up as much. It takes a lot of time to edit, especially when you know what you're doing and you set large goals for yourself. It's easy to get carried away with skill and the craft that you love. So that's why I keep Sundays here to talk about everything in general with the channel. And really, I don't like going on week after week about my past hosts or my past guests that I've had on this channel that I've hosted. But it's worth mentioning that on Wednesday I had Nadine Askey on as a guest again. So go check that out. She's helping these families that have had these disasters sweep through their areas. She's expanded farther than North Carolina now, which is great. And we also gave a donation of $5 just to let everybody know that's what I expect from people watching, to just do something to help these people that lost everything. And it's really hard to imagine that, to lose everything. All of your belongings, everything that you've worked for your whole life, whether you've had stuff packed away for years and just gets washed away by these torrential floods that Nadine agrees they were government made. So weather modification and all that. And that's another reason why this channel's shadow banned, because I talk about all that stuff too. Talk about weather modification, talk about free energy. I really think the free energy topic is what's hitting my channel the most with not getting views. But if you seek out my channel and you look at the videos, they're all there. And I think we're uncovering some lesser talked about topics, including the use of sound weapons that basically turns rock hard, dry mud, dry dirt into liquefied slush sand. It explains why buildings have apparently sunken. If you turn that sound weapon on for 30 seconds to a minute, the building will sink on top of its foundation. It'll sink underground. Because really, you think about everything else that's underground, there's a lot of clay. All of that can be manipulated at the atomic level with sound. And essentially, you can soften rock that way too. And there's evidence of softened rock in many places in Egypt. I'm going along with that for Coral Castle as well. I believe that Ed Leedskalnish figured out a way to soften that coral rock. And there's an official name for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head again. The name of he made his Coral Castle out of two different types of coral rock. One from Florida City, and then where it's at now in Homestead. And he brought some of the Florida City rock to the new location. But essentially, he was never seen building this coral castle. And there are multiple tons per item that he has displayed in that coral castle. So it's really it's a conundrum. a mystery of modern architecture. But like we have read in those deep dives, they're all like coral castles compared to Easter Island. It's also compared to the Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid of Giza in terms of megalithic structures, in terms of the mystery and how these things were built. And in the Bermuda Triangle series, we were getting into the topics of, how did these underwater cities get to being underwater to begin with? Where did all the water come from? And I think we're coming to a conclusion here that the water may in fact have come from underground fissures. So really, the ocean beds may not have been ocean beds at first. They might have just been land. And we see geysers in Yellowstone. We've seen springs come out of rocks like a fountain. So you just think of that on a massive scale. You have an earthquake, opens up the earth, and if it opens up under a spring, all that water is going to come out and it floods everywhere. So the biblical stories of flooding might not have come from the sky. It may in fact have come from the ground itself. And I was saying in the Bermuda Triangle show on Thursday that we may see a reverse opposite effect sometime in the future. I mean, I think it's inevitable it's going to happen, where we have another earthquake, but it's on the current ocean bed, and the rift opens so deep and so wide that it just drains the oceans. And then we'll really have a dry period here for who knows how long. But that's my take on that. And then that would reveal all of these cities that are currently underwater. That'll make them dry again. And then we'll have entire civilizations to look at and research. But yeah, that's where we're at right now with all of the deep dive series. And then Chicago film industry, that one's going to be wrapping up, like I said, 5 weeks from now. I will do more film-related deep dives, but since there's a definite end to the Chicago film industry, I think doing 15 parts would be enough. And like the only other notable things I were to mention if I'd go past the 1920s here, past the book, would be Hollywood coming back to film in Chicago for certain films. But I think that would be better touched upon if we did a deep dive on director John Hughes, since he's a Chicago native of the area. He filmed a lot of his teen comedies and dramas here in the area. In fact, the Breakfast Club is just a few miles away from me here. The old Maine North High School, which is now it's a state police building. And you can also go there to cash in your lottery tickets. All the housing, the townhouses behind it is still there. And I knew a few people that lived behind there about 20 odd years ago. But I think that's where I would take more of like the Chicago related film industry stuff, since it happens so much later than where we're talking about right now. We're talking about Charlie Chaplin and SNA Film Studios, Selig. Edison's not even mentioned anymore in this part of the series, so I'm not sure what happened with that. He probably took a back seat after so long, after getting all of his patents finalized. He was alive until October 18th, 1931. So I'm not sure what he did for the last 20 years of his life, but I'm sure we'll figure out a few key elements in that Flickering Empire book when it comes time. So how are all you doing? You know, it's been another fast week. I don't want to touch too much upon Tom Althouse here, but I did a little research. He hasn't done too much of interviews with people. His last one with Veronica was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Still treading over the same tired topics. It's the same stuff over and over. It's the hamster wheel effect. It's just the same things talked about over and over. It's like the territory days of pro wrestling in the 1970s and 80s, where they do the same match over and over on so like they would travel from city to city, but since it wasn't televised, they'd do the same match over and over and over, same finish over and over and over. And that's what it feels like Tom's doing. And he actually told me that one of his goals was to travel around talking about this stuff. But it seems like he doesn't want to get anywhere. So I think about like 11 days ago, he did a sit-down interview with Michael Yako. Again, another handler of his. He just loves to give time to his handlers. And they figured out how to control him, so I guess they succeeded in their goals. And they pushed him away from the people that were truly trying to help him. So he's just going to be on a repeat loop of just talking about the same things as if it's the first time, over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and never getting anywhere with anything. Now, the most outrageous claim yet from this dude is that he had someone or some group of people break into his house, leaving behind no evidence of a break-in other than his old scripts came magically onto his bed. Just all of a sudden appeared there. So his explanation is someone covertly broke into his house and placed his original scripts that were stolen in 2012 back on his bed. And, you know, for all we know, he was going through old boxes and fucking found it, and then got distracted and left it on his bed. Did something else, went to the UFO conference, which is, again, I still don't understand why he's even involved in that. He doesn't have any UFO stories of his own. But, I'm sure you'll hear some bullshit coming up later, like he has all of these UFO experiences now, right? But the thing that stuck out to me with the Michael Yako show that he did about 2 weeks ago, I think it said 11 days, he was sitting down next to Michael Yako, like exactly how I had said I wanted to do an interview with Tom at his house. So, good for him, right? Tom is placating the handlers. He's believing that they're his friends, and all they're doing is giving him See, he's looking for access, and that's what all of this is about. You know, I'll cut straight to the chase here. He wanted so desperately and bad to get on Roseanne, and these other co-hosts that I'm still in talks with here, like, they helped that happen. Tom would not have gotten on Roseanne if it weren't for people like me interviewing him. And I don't take full credit for the Roseanne interview, but I got him onto the John B. Wells show again when that was dead in the water for him, so to speak. And it didn't happen just once. I got him back on twice. And when Tom was on there, I mentioned this last week, he made grandiose promises that, again, couldn't be delivered by any human, really. 3 months to write and publish a book? Get out of here, man. He feels pressured to produce content, but then it's just the same regurgitated slop every time. And when I get like the opportunity to put together this book for him, after he tells me, no, we're not doing a documentary, I flew all of my equipment out there and he tells me we're not doing a documentary anymore. When he tells me now we're doing a book and he assigns me to write the book and to transcribe his thoughts from God and all of that stuff, again, I have to ask, which God? Which God is he talking about? Because I really don't think he means Heavenly Father Creator. But they're just unachievable goals. The goalposts continue to get moved. And every time we were coming up upon a breakthrough, he just puts it to the side. Like, he doesn't talk about his estranged daughter anymore. He's really focused on Elon Musk. He's trying to say he was supposed to be in the position of Elon Musk. But also, he was saying that the Matrix idea, when he was writing The Immortals, that it was a channeling from God. So he's not even attributing credit to his own skill of writing. It's more like God chose Tom, this inexperienced writer, and just gave him the idea, and then that's it. He doesn't have any other work to show for himself. It's really kind of sad. And now that's all he does is go around talking about how he's the one. Like, he's trying to take credit for all the Warner Brothers and Wachowski work. That's a big claim to make. But all he does is just hold up the script. He holds up the script. That's all he does is hold up the script without... He opens it to a random page. Goes like, look, see? He's not supporting his claims. And that's what I keep on trying to readdress here. He's not supporting his claims. We have yet to see the pages about the Squiddies. We have yet to see the pages about a lot of things. The first 10 pages of that script does not have anything to do with what the Wachowskis put out for 1999 The Matrix. So from all the time that I spent over the past nearly 3 years now, I feel I have a place to stand when I speak from this perspective. That he just wants to be a traveling roadshow. That's all he wants to be. He wants the oohs and ahs. He wants to trash Sophia Stewart, no matter how far off she is. Like, I was convinced she was controlled opposition, but you know what? It's not too far-fetched to say that there's more than one person who's had traumatic life experiences and now they're trying to make sense of it all by doing this stuff. With all the accounts that Tom has mentioned, like loved ones, close friends, turning on him, really, I think a lot of that was them cross-questioning him and finding holes in his story. And so that's his best way of coping with all of that, is to just say that, no, they're part of the problem, they're the enemy. So that's why I'm lumped together in that too, by the way. See, I was able to point out, there's the handlers. There they are. There's the handlers, Tom. They're pretending to be your friend here. This one's co-hosting you on their shows all the time. They're taking your time away. That's one handler. Here's the other handler. They popped up out of nowhere. They're calling you on the phone. They ask you to do. They ask if they could do your website for you. And we looked at the website a few weeks ago. We saw here that there's nothing on the website that he claims is supposed to be on there. All of the matchups, where are they? They're nowhere to be found on that site. If he's going to put it behind a paywall, so be it. I know there's people out there that'll pay for that kind of information to check it out. Just curiosity alone. But as far as all that goes, Tom is a traveling roadshow now. Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime girl. It's like he gets turned on and turned off. And not in a sexual way. It's like talk about the Matrix switch. Off, on. But now there's another switch on the other side of his head. It's Elon Musk. Off, on. So that's all he talks about now is Elon Musk and the Neuralink and how he claims that it's his. But yet, we don't have any schematics. He doesn't have any blueprints. He doesn't have any proof of concepts other than the script that he parades around like this. And when you go and put these concepts in a script, you do have other notes that would support that. And he says all of that was stolen from him. All these people just stealing everything from him, right? He's the perpetual victim. He's a perpetual victim. Like, I am one of the few people that pushed through to get him to make that documentary, and then he fucking cancels it. So what would happen when he... in the far-fetched alternate reality where he actually gets his script turned into a film production? He would shut the production down over a cold cup of coffee, over the way that a lighting grip looked at him. He'll have a breakdown in the corner saying, no, just cancel all today. Just cancel it. Just send everybody home. The 100+ people working in the crew. Just send them all home. All of the equipment that we're using, all the lighting and all of the cameras and the microphones and the set space. If we rent out places for a studio. No, just cancel the whole day because Tom's not feeling good. That movie would never get made. And in fact, I'm going to say it right now. The Immortals will not get made. That's just my opinion. And if Tom takes that as a challenge, good for you, pal. But you had support here, and you no longer have it from me. I left the door open for him to explain himself and his actions. He could have apologized to me for the way he went about canceling our last interview and how he just blasted me at the end of that, being, well, he just flipped the script. But he never showed up. He never showed up to explain himself. Instead, he went on a different show because that other host that he went to go interview with, they were watching my show here, talking about all this. So you just have a bunch of snakes that are going around. They're clout chasers. That's all they're going to be doing for their lives. I mean, they have suicidal tendencies. They talk about how they don't know how long they're going to be here. Look, dude. No one knows how long they're going to live. I have people that I went to high school with that are already dead. One of them, I believe, accidentally shot themselves in the face. Another one, I think, OD'd in a grocery store. Another one OD'd in their own house. Someone I went to high school with while I was in high school OD'd. They OD'd sitting up. They threw up in their mouth and they choked on their vomit from heroin overdose. So there's all these different factors that can come into play. Everybody can be here one day and gone the next, and it includes myself, but I will not take my own life. I guarantee you all that. I will not go out that cowardly way, and it is cowardly. It affects everybody you love and everybody you know. Like, you think it's just ending when you take your last breath and your last look in this body? No, everybody has to clean up after you do that action. And I really think it's unforgivable. But at the same time, I do want to say that I think there is redemption in the spirit realm at some point. That Hell isn't eternity. It may feel like it, and time operates differently in the spiritual realm. So you do have time necessarily to right things, but you have to have conviction to do so. Oh, and I also had another person that I used to film with. I used to film for their shows. They took their own life. They left a note. They had a nice life. A life that a lot of us really would enjoy. And it just shows you that you can be given everything in the world and you could still not be happy with yourself. Hey, Jason, good to see you. But, like, the people that we're talking about here that have talked about, oh, they don't know how long they're going to be here, blah, blah, blah. Tom Althouse, Veronica, like, they have health problems. Like, Veronica has health problems. I don't know about Tom. But they so blindly trust the people that present themselves as friends when they're really enemies. And if their true friends call out that these are actually the enemy, he believes that the true friend is now the handler, and he's like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy calling out all the bullshit. It's really backwards. So, I guess to go back to what I was saying with that, these people are clout chasers. They want the extra views, they want the extra attention, they want to stick it to the other person. Like, it makes no sense in terms of Tom's perspective, because he was trying to trash me and this channel, saying that, oh, we only get 30 views per video. The dude went on an 800 subscriber channel to YouTube channel to say those things about me. So he went on a smaller channel to shit on how small this channel is. Does that make any sense to you guys? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. But between all that and the board meeting videos that I put up on here, and now that I'm talking about free energy in the deep dive series, the multiple series that I'm doing, I really think that's contributing to the continual blacklisting of this channel. Because why do I only have 10 viewers after 5 hours? Why is it only 20 views on an upload that I do of a live stream? Like, I re-upload it again and there's like only 10, 20 views on that. The only explanation is blacklisting. I put tags in everything. I put keywords. I even have scheduled live shows, live streams ahead of time so that people can find them. But it's not getting to everybody. It does get frustrating. But that's just how it's been going. It's just not a profitable line of work here. And so then some may ask, why do I do this? Well, filmmaking is my passion. I went to school for it. I've made it my life's work to be in film. And a lot of my channels that I have on the internet here, I have the description as I'm a filmmaker seeking truth in film and politics. And over the past 10 years, I've tried to uncover the truth in politics. A lot of local politics stuff here. But they're so communist. Like, to go from one extreme to another here, they take anything good and they corrupt the truth. They flip it around to make it appear like they're the good people and we're the bad ones, and they say that we're hateful, but like they're calling us names and shit and screaming and writing threats on the sidewalk in chalk like a bunch of 8-year-olds. Like, so I got really drained from fighting those fights. I actually, a few weeks ago, I told the people I used to go to board meetings with, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's too much energy that it's taking from me. Because I put my passion into what I talk about. And going into these meetings, you feel the energy, or at least for me, I feel the energy in the room. And a lot of the time when I walk into the village board meeting rooms, that energy shifts. Like there's a dark presence there that gets afraid of me being there. And then I get attacked as well. So I don't like sacrificing myself like that. I don't like subjecting myself to that, especially on a regular basis. So I haven't gone to the board meetings lately. I could have this last week, but really, like, it's way too much. It's way too much energy taken out. And then not only that, whenever I go speak, I like to get a video copy of what I spoke about. But not a lot of people watch it. And I'm trying to get the local people involved in their own government, and they just don't care. So what's the point? So I've stopped doing all the board meeting video stuff. I was doing the interviews with several people now. And then I'm doing the deep dive series where it's just me here and talking about stuff. But it takes a lot of time, energy, and money to make all of this stuff happen here. And, you know, we might all wonder how is Tom Althouse even living week to week? He's living off government assistance now. I saw it happen firsthand while I was there last year. So he has his SNAP benefits now. The very same government that he's claiming is trying to ruin his life, he's now accepting money from them to get food. I just don't understand it. The easiest explanation is he's a hack. He has no other work to show for himself. Like, you'd figure he'd have 2 or 3 other scripts that are already, like, out there that he could go over page by page and be like, look at this. You see, I explained this story really well here. I have these characters here, and they go through this and this. We're never going to hear that from Tom, okay? We haven't heard it from him, and we will never hear it from him. Because he does not have any other scripts. And really, we were saying a week or two ago that we believe The Immortals was written as a stage play, which it very well could have been. So he had no intention of going to Hollywood with it. Yes, he may in fact have had the meeting with Bonaventura, but beyond that, he said he didn't know about any of the stolen work until like 2008, 2009. And then his old drafts got stolen in 2012. And then he got locked away in the mental asylum in 2020 in January. Or probably a little bit before that. So those are things to consider. Like, who did he blow up on that was concerned about his well-being and called the authorities to take him away to the crazy house? Like, what is it? That Breaking Bad character. He says about Walter White, he's like, I have no intention of being here for the boom. Meaning, the guy's a ticking time bomb, and when the guy explodes, he doesn't want to be anywhere near the guy. And I want to say the same for myself here. Tom's going to have his handlers to, like, pat him on the back or calm him down now. Because he's going to be staying in the little circle of safety where he doesn't have to go and explain himself further. He just basic bitch chapter 1 Tom Malthouse. Chapter 1, chapter 1, chapter. We're never going to get through the whole story with Tom. It's always going to chapter 1, chapter 1. I was with Pat Robertson. I was supposed to be Elon Musk. I was supposed to make the Neuralink. Dude, just give it a fucking break already, man. I'm sorry. But, like, I gave you the opportunity here to expand further, and instead you chose to regress. And one of the last times when we talked with him on this channel, we did mention about how others would say he's always talking about the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. And we tried to spin that as, oh no, it's just a consistent story. But now we know that's not the case. The moment he starts venturing off and like using critical thinking on things and explaining things in a new way, it's almost like his handlers are like, nope, you gotta come back. You gotta come back to chapter 1 again. And that's exactly what he's doing. That's why there's so many first-time interviews out there. And when you type in Tom Malthouse interview on YouTube, I did it this morning, all of my shorts pop up. So it's still... It's damning for Tom, because at the end of all the shorts are then the Tom Malthouse is a liar shorts, which there's 8 of those. I wanted to make a lot more than 8. And it would be very successful if I made more, because we break down everything bad that he says about me here. On other channels, like we went and we critiqued and reviewed things. We corrected the record here. So it's really damning for Tom, because I'm baked into the algorithms, and people that want to dig into this story, eventually they find me talking about him this way. Where he's already, I was going to say rejected me. Essentially, that's what he did. Like, he was told by his handlers that I'm doing something I shouldn't be, so he's like, yes, master, and then he goes off and does what they say. It's just not the expected outcome that we all had here. Here we were expecting Tom to actually get justice for the crimes that were committed against him, but you know what? It might not be any crimes to commit. He might just be making all this stuff up. Until he reads that script out live, page by page, like, we have no evidence that he wrote The Matrix, that's what he's saying. He wrote The Matrix, but his script is titled The Immortals. There's no word Matrix within those pages. So I tried to correct him. I tried to steer it in a way where it's like, the writer of The Immortals, aka The Matrix. I put the aka in front of all of that very strategically, because he himself was saying that other people were complaining about him, saying, I wrote The Matrix. I wrote The Matrix. But now he's regressed back into that, where he is straight up saying that he wrote what the Wachowskis put up. He takes credit for these green blips, something that was on computer screens a long time ago, before The Matrix even came out. The type of lettering that's on all of the code ring. There's Japanese characters in there. Does Tom ever talk about that? No. He was told to watch Ghost in the Shell. Did he ever look through that? Did he ever critique that? No. There's jacks in the back of the neck there. So he can't be the first to claim that he used that, when clearly Ghost in the Shell did before him. And then there's also many other science fiction novels and works that deal with the same cyberpunk concepts here. And ultimately, all creative work borrows from predecessors. So the most that he would be willing to admit, which he said on some of our older interviews, is that he does like Blade Runner and Rollerball. So it's kind of, what's the word for it? It was an uneventful ending to him revealing, I guess, this truth to the world. He's gone back into the Matrix, as I say. He plugged himself back in. He went from calling me his Morpheus to now I'm Bane. But Bane was Smith, so he's calling me Smith for. But he doesn't even understand the character Bane. He was like misnaming characters. So you figure this is all he spends his time on. You'd at least think he'd get the character names right. And like the situations involved. But like the dude talks all over the place. He could talk for 5 minutes straight and cover 30 years. But it's all over the place. So it's just unfortunate. But I'm not spending time on it throughout the whole week. I don't spend time on this stuff. But we come back here every Sunday and we reflect. And we continue to come to the same conclusion. That this guy doesn't have any care in the world for people that are thinking differently. Or even people that try to constructively critique his approach to how he's handling all of this. Like, he's not going to get on Roseanne's show again. Go ahead and watch her. I think I watched the first 13 minutes or so. And that might even be exaggerating how long. It might have been shorter. But even Roseanne's sitting back, like, trying to make sense of who this guy is. Like, is this guy for real? What's his motivation? And Roseanne's Jewish, by the way. So Tom wanted to claim that he was Jewish as well. Like, oh, I have some little inkling of blood of Jewish in my system. Like, he said something like that well over a year ago. Like, he wanted to be accepted into the clan. And, like, dude, like, at this point, like, people just don't care. Like, ultimately, he got onto Roseanne's show, and that was the death nail in the coffin for him. Not only because he was freaking out, he was wigging out on me for possibly saying the wrong date for when the Roseanne episode is going to premiere. He's thinking I'm going to topple his house of cards just by putting the wrong date out to my subscribers here. But as many of you have watched, and you've actually shared here in the chat before, that you guys didn't like the way that Tom behaved on Roseanne. And both of you guys were able to watch both of them and their body language with one another. And Roseanne is a gatekeeper. No matter how much she's a stoner, like, she's still a gatekeeper. And she got exactly what she wanted out of Tom, which was pacification. And look at where he's at now. He's not even interviewing with anybody else, just Michael Yako and Veronica. And the only reason Veronica brought him back on is because she watched this Let's Talk series, thinking she was being clever. But really, she's clout chasing because she wants that spot at the conferences with them. No matter what the subjects are about. She just wants the attention. Not surprised. Why am I not surprised? I've experienced many people do this type of thing. They kick their true friends to the curb. People that they've spent a long time with, many life experiences. Then they make them the enemy, and then it's almost like that's a sacrifice for them to get to the next level, so to speak. And I know that's exactly what Tom was contemplating. dropping me would give him more success, right? Even though I was the most successful route for him on the internet. Everything's baked in. Like I'm not taking anything down. No matter how much it disgusts me now to look back on all of it. I seeked him out because I had heard about Sophia Stewart before, but I never heard of this dude up until a few years ago, a little over 3 years ago. And I wanted to get to the truth. I wanted to find out what was really going on with all that. He was going on channels where you had super chats going off, just ding, ding, ding. But it was like a pirate thing going, yo, ho, ho, like really annoying shit. Hey, Norma. So I'm getting everything set up to have my stream deck here. So I'm going to have a little, I don't know, it's like a digital keyboard that has physical buttons on it that I could use to go back and forth between windows, use sound effects. I got it quite a while ago, and I had it set up briefly for a time, but I think I could start using them for new live streams and the current ones that we're still doing, because I'm continually building those out. I do still have plans for doing film reviews and doing deep dives into certain films. The Matrix trilogy is going to be wild. I do still have plans to do the Smith deep dive. So hopefully I can make that into one video and it won't be live streamed. It'll be premiered. I'll do a lot of heavy editing. I'll pre-record all of the voiceovers. I'll have some video with my face here like this. Yeah, Norma says, Steve, Tom is mentally ill. It's so obvious. He has so many personalities, in my opinion. Yeah, like I feel like we've exhausted it to the maximum extent we can. He's being taken advantage of by people who just think he'll give their channel more hits. That wasn't my intention when I reached out to him. I wanted to really hear his side of the story. But as we've learned here, there's something else going on. I'm sure Zen has a few things to say about that. But I really think we've exhausted speaking about Tom. And really the only times now that I want to even bring him up again. I mean, especially, like, we're 7 episodes into this Let's Talk series. I intended this to be like a catch-all to talk about stuff that is all related to the channel so that we don't have to talk about it on the individual deep dives at like the beginning or end of shows. I'd rather have one dedicated show talking about everything. But yeah, Zen said he has his perspective on what he wants to share. I wanted to reach out to some of these ex-hosts and get their opinions on why they stopped interviewing Tom. I think that's a reasonable question, right? And whether or not they want to speak publicly about that matter, that's a whole different story. But we are aware that there are multiple hosts that Tom either cut off or the hosts wisened up to his grift and said no more. Yeah, Norma says, I'm exhausted by the circle jerk he has everyone on. Exactly. I was talking about this earlier before you hopped on here. Chapter 1, over and over and over. It's always, introduction to Tom, hi! Like, it's always like that for all of these shows he's going on. It's like, this is the first time we're having... Well, now there's over 5 years of like different interviews with him, and a lot of them have been pulled from those ex-hosts that no longer speak with him. In fact, the John B. Wells show, his very first one was pulled, which I think that was back in 2020 or 2021. It got pulled off of John B. Wells' server from he claims there was a hack. Although he might have been talking about Tom being a hack. If you want to get meta like that. But there was no contact with John B. Wells and Tom when I discovered Tom and brought him onto this channel. And then I helped Tom last year get 2 interviews with John B. Wells, and Tom just blows that too. And he does, like, the thing with Roseanne, the thing that really stuck out with me on that show was he did the middle split hair thing to like cover up his temples or what. He looked like an 8-year-old boy just doing that shit. He normally has his hair either combed back, or on some of these interviews that you've actually seen on my channel here, he has like the wet hair, the wet bangs. Like, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. He says he wants to be professional and be presentable, but then he does that shit where it looks like he just jumped out of a fucking cryo chamber. Like, Zenorma says, Steve, you have integrity, and Tom is not worth the time or energy he sucks out of this universe. He's always screaming. Yeah. And it seems like he's scrambling around too. So that's why I decided to keep all of this to this Let's Talk format. So that if we do have to decompress about these things, we can do it here. But we've reached the consensus now that Tom has no intention of furthering his progress. I mean, you could go look up the Michael Yako interview from 11 days ago. But even Michael Yako is saying, like, and Tom had his scripts returned to him in a peaceful break into his house. Like, how do you frame this in such a way where you don't sound insane? People breaking into Tom's house, but there's no evidence of a break-in, but now his older scripts are magically appeared on his bed. Survey says Tom put him on the bed himself and then got distracted and did other things and came back and saw that it was there. And now he's just continually making up stories. You know what? We'll take a look at some of it right now. Because this is the day that we spend talking about all this stuff, is today. We won't be looking at this any other day. So let's see. This was from May 13th. So it's 11 days ago, right? 12 days ago. That's the channel name. And, you know, it's the same stuff over and over. As we've said. He just does whatever. We'll watch a little bit of this. We're critiquing it. So we'll watch a little bit. But that's his handler there, Michael Yako. So we were saying there were 2 handlers. One of them's... Or actually, there's 3. There's 3 that we know of. There's Penny L.A. Shepherd. There's Michael Yako, which is this dude. And he had the Fu Manchu mustache prior to this. And then you have Jen, which we don't have the last name of. But she's apparently the one that helped him put his website together. So I'm going to silence the music for now. But we'll just listen to the opening of this. And we'll just hear how it's the same basic thing over and over. Yeah, Norma says, so many rumors that Yako is still CIA. Yeah, that's so Norma. This dude, I don't know how they contacted Tom, but Tom dropped everything he was doing and flew out to Florida to meet with this guy. And this is now like a multiple visit that he's on over here. This is not the first time he's visited him. So he's in his house talking with him here. You could actually see the age marks on Tom's face in this one, surprisingly. But, yeah, we've had others here on this channel just say this dude is just really giving off very negative vibes. And I don't have any proof that he's a handler, say. I'm going off of my gut feeling here. But Tom decided to drop me and everybody else that he was doing interviews with so that he could be with this guy and with Penny L.A. Shepherd. And then that Jen chick who was like a music magazine writer that she no longer works for. Now she's putting his website together under the TomAlthouse.com URL that I recommended to Tom at first, and Tom was being all bashful. Oh, I don't want it to be my name. It sounds too conceited. Dude, he's an egomaniac. So of course, like when Jen goes and recommends it, he's like, "Oh, that's such a good idea, Jen. Oh, I can't believe you came up with that first. Thank you, Jen." It's like the same thing of him going to every one of these hosts and saying, "Oh, finally, I'm speaking to smart people." It's the same thing over and over. So we'll watch this little intro here.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Secrets of Joint Today by Tom Outhouse. Right here. So, isn't that great? Be able to do it.
So I have this at 1.5 speed because I was trying to get through this earlier and not spend all my time on it. But you'll get the gist of it here. Just listen to the first few topics they talk about. It is like the basic bottom of the barrel stuff that we know. Like if you're trying to seek out new information about Tom, this is not the episode. Like he's on a spiral right now where he is not talking about anything new. He's talking about everything that he's regurgitated on other shows.
Do a live show with Tom Outhouse. Very, very amazing gentleman. He is the creator of the Matrix movie series, which was the screenplay was stolen from him.
Now, right there is a lie. You can't say that he's the creator of the Matrix story. Because there's no Neo, no Trinity, no Morpheus, no Smith, no... Now, he's saying all of these characters are in his script, but they're all different names, they all have different roles, they all show up at different times. Trinity's not in the first 10 pages of his script. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. There's no chick running on rooftop buildings away from the agents. So where's the similarities? If really he's saying that they lifted concepts out, you could say the same thing about, I don't know, H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, that Robert Zemeckis stole the concept of time travel from H.G. Wells. Like, this is what we're dealing with here. Like, these big concepts he's trying to claim as his own. The cyberpunk aesthetic, like what's not even in his work. He has, it's in a sequence of a jungle in the first 10 pages. And you can find that from other people. Like, a lot of TikTokers actually pointed that out to me too.
By Hollywood. And we talked about this in several shows for several years now. And it's interesting, things are coming to a head because, as we're going to talk about, he had some of his material that was stolen back in 2012, just a few days ago, that was placed back in his house.
Placed back in his house. He's eating this whole story up. Michael Yako's believing that this break-in without a break-in happened. And that all of the scripts were returned to Tom. Coincidentally, around the time that, like, I started this Let's Talk series and he jumped back on Veronica's show. Now he's producing scripts out of his ass. To say, oh, never saw them, but now they're back. Now they're back. They were stolen and now they're back. And they were not mailed. They weren't given to him or slipped under the door. They were placed on his bed up in the second floor of his house.
Wow. Yeah. So things are moving, I think, very, very quickly, like we talked about. Now,
Yeah, look at Tom's little Joker scar there. Look at that. What, did he cut his mouth like Heath Ledger?
white hats, the good guys, wherever they may be, whoever they may be, are trying to help us. Tom, thanks for joining us.
I am so excited to be here. I think it's the first time we actually got to meet in your home and do a show like this.
Yeah, this is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
This way it should be. Good, good. I'm glad you you came here to take care of some business because they're still trying to steal your information and you're making moves to overcome that still. But in the meantime, amazing things are happening. So let's go into your original script real quickly. Give guys an overview.
So we're pausing and starting this. So again, I'm saying here now that this is the only show on this channel where we're going to be covering these topics here. This is the only show. It's only going to be these Sundays, and it's only going to be to redress grievances, to correct the record, and the rest of the week I'm not spending any time on this stuff because it's not worth my time and energy. So we can do this for a few hours, but really, that's going to be it for the day. After I'm done with this stream for the day, I'm moving on to doing my eBay store, cleaning things up around the house, working on other uploads on other platforms from previous shows during the week. But today is about this, along with the other updates I had about my channel with the deep dives. But I'm talking about free energy on my channel here now. But yeah. Let's continue here. Let's hear the regurgitation.
Okay, so this is, again, the original script, and it's the only one that is a copyrighted script that an author has of The Matrix. No one else has it. No other claimants have a full script certified. So, and this one has the 1998 stamp. It's hard to see here, but in 1998.
So I'm going to put this out here for all of you. Tom said that anybody can get a copy of the script, but he's saying here that nobody else has it. So there's a way to get this script through the Copyright Office, and it costs about $450 to do so, to get it certified and everything. Like, he has a little stamp and all that. If you guys want me to get a copy of that script from the Copyright Office, I will do so, but I will only do it through super chats and donations. So that's going to be my call out here for everybody that follows me. I don't have the money to do it. I really don't, but it would prove this sucker wrong, wouldn't it? Anybody can go to the Copyright Office and get a certified copy like this, but it's going to cost nearly $500.
Stamp, which is the one that was used on set in 1999, and that's been made clear by fight choreographers and others connected that were there on set. And they also emphasized that there was a 20-foot rule that if you're within 20 feet, you could be fired. And think about that. That seems like kind of an absurd rule.
He continues to parade the script around, but he's never shown it page by page, because if he does, it will show how little it compares to The Matrix. And this is the truth of it here. He didn't care whether I read it or not. Norma says, I can buy that gold stamp and ribbons in the teacher's school supply stores, just need embossing stamp. Yeah. I mean, with Photoshop and everything, hey, I mean, that would be forging government documents, though. So he probably did get it. There were, I think he had shown his receipts, like how much it cost. I believe it's on some of these pages that he has here. Yeah, but you see, even if we were to get a copy of this, that like a same exact copy that he's holding, a duplicate copy of that, he would go around saying we stole that too. You see, and then we'd become part of the story. But if we get a certified, like, we don't even need to get a certified copy, but like, this is the game he's playing here. So if you guys really want a certified copy for our own that we can go over here live to review and dissect, to critique, that's the way that we're going to have to do it. Because I'm not making nearly enough money to just drop $450 on getting a copy of this from the Copyright Office. But that would be the correct way to go about doing this. And then Tom didn't even want to get the copy of the Tom Hanks one that says The Immortals, that's 2 pages long. He didn't even want to get a copy of that. So go figure that one out.
You're trying to work as a team, a union team, to get these things created. Why would you instill that and enforce that even? But that was done so nobody would see this material when this was in one hand, and then the storyboard was the other to create it. And in here is everything from Train Station, Jackson X, Goodies, Blueco, Red Pill, you name it.
Right, all the stuff we've talked about over the last several years. And what you...
Again, generalities, he's using the Wachowskis' work for memory recall for the audience. So there's nothing that like, he should be referring to his script first and foremost in the native format that he presented it. But instead, he's using terms the Wachowski ended up using as his own to compare to his script. It makes no sense in that regard to me.
You intended for this information to be and how they manipulated that information. So they're controlling consciousness, but you were trying to awaken consciousness. Tell us a little bit about that.
Exactly. I felt like my calling was to do this faithfully, to basically take a download that was being given, right, Michael? And it was like...
This is another thing. He is claiming that he's not that great of a screenwriter and that God gave him this idea. He got a download to write this, and then the connection got severed, and now he just hasn't produced anything else since.
I was given what I can...
Oh, you want to see the stamp up close? I think that's within our bounds to show that. Yeah, give me a second here. I'll get the music back on too. All right. You ready for this? Okay. There's the seal on the outside. Now, what I can say about this is he's touched the outside of this so much that it's gotten flattened. And it looks like it used to say United States something. But like the name, Angela Hightower, like, it sounds like a fake name. Well, you know, use of this material is governed by the U.S. copyright law. This is probably the highest resolution picture of this stamp that anyone's ever shown. But yeah, Norma says that's such BS that God gave him a download. There's nothing godly about Tom. What an insult. Yeah. Like I said, like, what God is he referring to when he says gave him the download? Could very well have been demonic. But there's the seal. Yeah, man in the high tower, right? It's like, I almost wonder who signed that. These are questions we're allowed to ask, so. Yeah, the government of defense, Normal. That's the god that Penny refers to. And one more time, the copy that he's holding up now says the seal of this office is affixed hereto on March 20th, 2023. So he had it for less than a year. And he started having it all get banged up and everything over again. Yeah, so if you want to, so if anybody wants to go on their own to get this copy of the script, which is totally within your legal rights to do so, here's the copyright number. But again, you're going to have to pay a fee of at least $250 to $300, and then if you want it certified, it's an extra $100. Looks like a cow. I don't think it's a cow. Normal. It's an eagle for sure. But like, I've never seen a stamp like this. We could probably look up what the Copyright Office has. Like, I really believe that he did use the Copyright Office to get this copy, but it's not not something I would flaunt around as something credible. Yeah, real quick here. That kind of looks like what it was. But like, again, who's to say that he didn't get this put into a mold and then use the stamp himself, right? So I wonder if this is the same copyright stamp that Thomas Edison saw. It must be. When he was stealing other inventors' work and patenting it as his own. I'm being very careful with what I'm showing here, just so Tom doesn't put me on his fucking hit list. Hold on. Yeah. Yep. So, just based off of receipts and such, I really do think he paid to get this done, but like he probably spent all of his all of his money to do so. All right, we'll look at a little bit more of this, but it's 53 minutes long. We're not going to watch this whole damn thing. I'm sorry.
Considered almost like boot camp training, or what you had gone through, not to the extent of physical strenuous, but it was actually a mental boot camp where I had to learn humility, compassion, and I think that's very telling. If that's the requirements that were put upon me, whether people believe that or not, that was instilled, it's like that says something about the powers behind this. That they wanted, I got the impression they wanted us to all do our parts and basically bring us together as humanity, that we solve problems together, and that became a core theme in the piece itself. So I felt like a scribe or a servant, and I was amazed. I also had the sense that I'm experiencing this for the first time, and I had a deep sense of responsibility that I had to do it properly without inflicting my own bias in.
Wow. And we talked about how you basically were being groomed to be kind of like an Elon Musk. And when that didn't work out, then Elon Musk showed up.
That's exactly right. I was given a series of questions when I was at the religious right and being courted by the FBI. I was actually on John Walsh's program, and it was a
Newsflash, Tom, you're getting courted by this guy now, whether you want to admit it or not.
season premiere of America's Most Wanted. So I'm taken to lunch.
So this guy also gave Tom a medical patch to put on his arm, like a nicotine patch, but like to get rid of a bump that was on his neck. And I asked Tom, what were the ingredients in that patch? And he's like, I don't know. So he's just blindly taking all this stuff. He's being controlled. He's getting substances he has no idea he's taking.
The dinner.
He's totally
Tom Walsh
controlled.
and FBI heads, and they gave me a card that said, please extend every courtesy to Tom Malthouse. So I was being groomed by both religious right to be the face of the Christian Coalition, which basically my job would be using dimples, blue eyes at the time, blonde hair, to mislead people into steering their way towards Pat Robertson's political agenda and the cabal's plans.
Wow.
And I was made privy to certain aspects of it, such as a reset of a one world order where they're actually going to simulate the return of Christ using Hollywood.
All right, I'm bored. Let's skip through. Let's go 10 minutes ahead.
Congenial. He said, let's send it in and see where it goes.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So we did. It was very, very gracious.
Praying for time. Wow.
Perfect ending piece.
So now we're at that point where we have been praying for time, and now we are in that time.
And that's what's so wild with what's happening in the homes, right? What's
yeah.
happening now. So you're going to lead into that. That's fine.
Yeah. So, we're basically waking up. All of us are like, I'm here back on YouTube. I'm having this show on YouTube. I was canceled out of YouTube for years. And it's just on a whim of prayer. Just, why don't I try and see if I can get back on YouTube? I have this old channel that I never asked them, why can't I? Because they would normally say, no, you're not coming back. And so I was like, I think things have changed. And so I asked, I said, I don't really think I did anything wrong with the channel. And they came back to me like,
yeah, they activated him as an agent again. So of course he's back on YouTube.
so we get our chance. We're gonna crush this. And so now they're helping you. So who would have the information to begin with for all this time? Who would have access to Tom's movements? All right. So somebody's got some intel going on, and who would have the ability to go through the lock, right? Surreptitiously go through the lock so no one sees, and then come in, place it on the bed, and then leave surreptitiously, and no one sees.
Exactly. I gotta
There's
tell
very
you.
few people. There's very few organizations can do this, guys.
Right. Thank you for sharing that too, Michael.
Yeah.
And what I want to point out too is what Michael's doing right now. This is the first time this has been shown or aired in this way. So God bless Michael for what he's doing right now, because this is the first time audiences like you.
The first time! Shut the fuck up, Tom! Jesus fucking Christ. This is not the first time for anything. You're going over the same shit over and over and over again.
The first audience to see this all unfolding. And the question is rising, who did this?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can say is
Right.
agencies.
Right.
So
And no, that was not a crash out. It's just incredulous here.
So let's relax a little bit. So we've shown all the paperwork.
well, almost all.
Oh,
There's more that was on the stack.
Okay. You got another one.
There's more. There's more. There's four of the crucial evidence screenplays. This is from '93, and it was laid on the bed. It's like they had access to the total files. And Michael, I'm surprised they didn't destroy these things.
So how many screen?
By the way, I would like to point out that every draft of a feature film script has different colors, and all of his has this light blue for every draft. You color code them. There's like a whole list. I'll pull that up real quick. But there's a method to doing all of this when you're in the film industry. Let's see. Film script. Color codes drafts. Yeah. All right. Film script codes. Ready? Film script color codes. Film script color codes are used to track revisions and distinguish different drafts of a screenplay during production. The standard order for these colors, as recommended by the Writers Guild of America, typically starts with white for the initial draft, followed by blue, which he's holding, then pink, yellow, and green. We don't see any of these other colors. After these, more distinctive hues of like goldenrod, buff, salmon, and cherry are used. If there have been enough revisions, colors cycle back to white and blue, but with addendums to indicate further changes. Ain't that something? Yeah, and it would look like this down here. So again, we're finding more inconsistencies here. But yeah, that's another thing that popped out to me. Here. Script color codes are particularly useful for script supervisor who can quickly identify which pages have been revised and which version they are reading based on the color of paper. White, blue, pink, yellow, green, goldenrod, buff, salmon, cherry, tan, ivory, double white, double blue. And that's for 13 drafts. Norma says, Steve, did you know that Yako lived next door to Kirsten W. And she coincidentally got the thing and died in the hospital? I'm very suspicious of Yako because she was fine until he moved next door. Yeah. And then she also says, I was embarrassed for Yako every time he spoke because he cannot carry a conversation. He lacks grammar. Yeah.
What plays did you write that they sold?
Who is Kirsten W? What's her full last name, Norma?
I mean, well, I think the fair question would be, it's a good one, but I think it's how many derivatives were done off the original.
Derivatives, that's right.
Yeah.
So let's go down that rabbit hole because they took pieces of all of his work and made movies,
Right.
whole movies out of them.
Using up the rest of the story.
Tell us some of the movies they made from your work.
Elysium was just like point blank. And if you listen to the directors in charge or the writer-directors that take the work or give them the work, Blomkamp, or whatever his name is, who did District 9, he said writing is like pulling teeth for him. You can find it in articles, I think. You can Google search that.
Well, the same thing with Tom. He said that the idea was given to him as a download, and that he has no other bodies of work to even support the fact that he's a screenwriter. He says there's like 16 scripts buried in the middle of nowhere with no metal attached to it. Like, come on, man. Show the full script of something else that you wrote so that you could have a little more validity to your claims here.
And he also said that what attracted him most to what he claims he wrote, what attracted him most to the screenplay that he claims he wrote, was that it was the scene with the barbed wire. And
the things are the same thing that you're claiming, Tom. You're going around saying you wrote The Matrix. Like, you sound real foolish here.
the people looking through the barbed wire at the world they couldn't be part of.
I'm skipping ahead.
That's been happening. And I believe that the good agents are coming forward and pressing out. Because, when someone has power.
Yeah, you see that? The good agents are coming forward. Yeah, the ones good at their jobs are coming forward and keeping this guy in check here, right?
They have power. And they can suppress everyone under them. So the people that have been
And they suppressed everyone that was hosting Tom. Look at that.
suppressed are starting to rise up.
Right.
And they're actually able to do what they did for you, reveal this stuff. And they're not going to reveal their identity
Yako's talking about himself here.
because then you'll get sidetracked.
No.
Just stay focused. We'll help you. This is, I think, what's happening. And I think this is what's happening right now with the Trump administration. Right.
There you go, Yako. You explained your motives on screen without taking credit for them.
And with a lot of things that we're seeing, that a lot of systems are collapsing, while other systems are being built and being focused on. So it's an incredible time, but it's also a time of destruction. Now, my question to you is, you are obviously an amazing creator. You tap in.
Yeah.
You bring information down that is like.
Tom's not a creator, by the way. Yeah, Tom is not a creator because he has not created anything other than this script for the past 40... shit. How many years? 44 years? 44 years. Not a single other script to take credit for besides this one script that he claims God helped him write.
Very, very valuable for humanity. They don't have, the dark side does not have this creativity. They have to steal it. What is that? What?
Yeah. The creativity that this dude's speaking of, Tom doesn't have either. Because as a creative, you're always creating. In the time that I knew Tom, he could have pumped out of almost 50 scripts during 3 years if you're really a screenwriter.
Why don't they have the creativity? What stops them?
That's a great question, Michael. I think it's because they don't have that humility and compassion. I mean, the things
Show me where Tom has any humility, and show me where Tom has any compassion other than towards himself.
that I really firmly believe. I went through that training, and when I was approached with that idea, I thought, well, I'm one of the most compassionate people I meet. No,
Absolutely.
like you know, I thought we all attract each other to work together. And it's like I thought, what am I missing? But they taught me that it was a discipline. It was a discipline, and no one really had it yet. So I was like, okay, because the words were, I looked for someone and found no one, and I was like, I'll do it, but I had no idea what I was volunteering for. And it was like, wow, you know. But I'm glad it was done, and I'm glad we're at the end of this story of that. We're now getting, like you said, things have changed. Now it's like we're in favor, and everything's switching around. It's like that commercial where they go Bob's Highway and Bob's Life.
He's in favor with the ops. He's in favor with the agents. Congratulations, Tom. You kissed their ass enough, and now here you have a new platform to be on because you're too... You don't have the self-confidence to run your own YouTube channel, Tom. That's real sad.
Light and Bob's Lane. It's like that right now. Everything's opening up so well. Probably why I'm here. But I think addressing the question you just asked about. Wait, give me the question again because I just layered out of it.
Yeah, so the dark side doesn't have the creativity.
Tell me again what we're talking about, because my schizo brain just went all the fuck around the place, and I don't know what we're fucking talking about anymore.
Right.
So they have to steal the creativity.
That's Tom. That's me quoting Tom's paraphrasing Tom's words here.
Right.
And you're saying that
Compassion.
humility and compassion.
That's what I told
and
Disney.
that's absolute. They're psychopaths. They're like,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Explaining the very things that they are currently going through. Amazing. And that's also what narcissists do.
they're psychos, you know, and they want to control, they want to manipulate, they get off on like doing horrible things to children, you know, and they just love that. It's like the essence of innocence. They want to take that and control that and disrupt that on a
well, it's like the magic pedophile kingdom.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
and you try to bring that out in your storyline.
Absolutely. In the train
Immortal
station scene.
/ Matrix.
Yeah, train station scene. That's what it's all about. And the Wachowskis on their fan page say, you know, well, the train station scene and little girl is just a subplot. That's all they said, just a subplot. The little girl at the train station is key to basically everything, and to a satisfying ending. She's key.
Wow.
And it represents the daughter I lost. Of course, I'm writing from a place of passion and hope. You know, a reunited family that was taken from me. So it's like Wachowskis ask them about it. It's like that's important to them, like picking an apple that's rotten off a tree and discarding it. It doesn't mean anything to them. To the
imagine how this daughter must have felt that she had to cut off all ties from her father like this. Imagine what she must have had to listen to and bear through about all of this content. Yeah, Norma says, without this Matrix claim by Tom, he has nothing going for himself. He won't move on. Yeah, he's a perpetual victim. And none of these studio execs, nobody from Warner Brothers wants to even touch this stuff because of just how unstable Tom is.
original author means everything. So, yeah. But compassion, I have a tape from a Disney exec, a Disney attorney, where they're talking to me and they're saying things like, you know, like I was having a conversation and I said, why was this done to my family? And I may have mentioned this before, but I think it's very important in that the answer was given. They said, well, you were...
Oh, we got the witches in the chat. Look at that. We got the witches saying, oh, we're not allowed to study evil. All right, let's carry on here. We're going to just listen to a few more minutes and then that's it.
And have come at me in different ways. Given the option, the real option, instead of like, you'll do this work or otherwise. You'll lose your job or you'll lose everything and we'll come after you. Just like, you see what we've done to them, we'll do 10 times up to you. So of course they're going to come and do their job on us. So I think those people are starting to realize that's no longer an issue. That's huge.
Right. And you know what I got to credit, Michael? Just came to me. That is audiences that have a big hand in this. They believed audiences are dumb. I don't mean to insult, but they really do. And Spielberg illustrates that.
That's what you think, Tom. You think everyone else is dumb because you say, oh, finally, I'm talking with some smart people. He said that on several occasions on different hosts' platforms.
All the time. Anytime you see Public Illustrated and Spielberg's pieces like, Men in Black, where they walk in the living room, like I said, and get the weapons, they're just standing there with their mouth open, just dumbstruck and remain dumbstruck. It's like, I think what's happening is, if you go back to that Disney call where the attorney was saying, you got the word out, and that's what made you win the chess game. So audiences getting it is what's defeating the whole strategy. So kudos to those that got it, that have been vocal about getting it, for both Michael and myself and others like us. You're the ones that are facilitating the victory.
We couldn't do this work without everybody being involved.
Does that include me? All my stuff's staying up. I don't drink alcohol anymore, so I'm not going to go on some weird thing in the middle of the night and delete everything. Nothing like that's ever going to happen with this channel. And I will never take my own life. I'm putting all of that out there.
They didn't count on you getting it. They did not count on you getting it.
I didn't count on it, but it's been huge. And this is why we've been able to not only continue, but actually grow.
Exactly.
And now we're growing again. And we're going to get all the stuff that they took from us. Right. We're going to get all back, and we're going to take it to the next level like we meant to again.
And we'll keep using it as we're intended, with humility and compassion for
Absolutely.
good. And
Absolutely.
They always talk about the next level. They're always on the precipice. This is what I was talking about a few episodes ago. Tom's talking like we're just about at the end of Act 2 and about to start Act 3. We're never going to get to Act 3 with him. Ever.
That's what I believe. We go back to, what are the sources?
And by the way, either before or after this interview, both of these two guys walked outside on that porch. Like, I'm just guessing this. And Tom would look at all the scenery and be like, wow, this is such a great location. Look at it. It's so nice. I just love this environment. It's so beautiful. He'll talk about everything else except, like, the topic at hand here.
Of all this material, is there a God and all that? That yes, it shows the benevolence of our Father, our creators, whatever you believe, because I don't think we have the full picture yet. And in that, it shows that I think it's designed that we really have to work together if we want a good ending. We're given pieces. I was given my piece.
He said he wants to work together, but he chops off all of his help. Explain that one.
The screenplay and all the stuff in it. And if we work together...
Michael Yako is the flavor of the month, or flavor of the year, flavor of the decade, whatever you want to fucking call it. It's going to end at some point. He's not going to be on Michael Yako's show, like, indefinitely. There's going to be an end point here, just as well as everything else.
That better world. And that says something about our creator.
Yeah. So we're moving into that zone, I believe, zone of consciousness where we can work together and create on a massive scale. And those people that have been suppressed in three-letter agencies, they can start to rise up and assume leadership roles instead of the ones that are there now.
That's something.
Leadership roles in those private organizations? What offers are you trying to give Tom here, buddy?
Thing too, I'm glad you said that I've seen with the stolen, like, it's like a hijacked timeline. The other side seems to pride themselves with putting us into low-level positions, or positions that are the opposite of what would be in the actual unadulterated timeline. And so I think there's so many people out there, even listening in, that you have a major part to play in the restored timeline. And you have the gifts, you have the abilities, and you probably feel like you've been misplaced. You have been. And so it's like, now I look forward to, it's almost like the game of charades, or that thing where you wear the name tag of some famous person and they guess who you are, where it's like we could get a sense of who we are and what our aptitudes are. You may see a big reversal on a lot of people in careers and things like this, where we come into what we would be if the timeline had not been hijacked and altered, and they played God.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what do you see with these people that are kind of sketchy that we're talking about now, the Elon Musk?
The most ironic thing here is that Tom is playing God of this Matrix world that the Wachowskis created, but he's claiming it as his own creation. How much more hypocritical can you get?
Musk's and
from what I understand, the adage of keep your enemies close is being employed, and that they fall by their ego. It's their ego and pride, which is almost like an inebriated man. An inebriated man thinks he's making sense, thinks he's being clever, seems to like the party, but he's actually looking like the opposite. And he reveals himself quite well when he stumbles over the cat on the couch. So what you got is, I think that's what's happening.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime girl. He's in his zone where he's just constantly regurgitating stuff.
What Elon is definitely inebriated with self-pride and ego right now, and I think that's causing him to make big mistakes, such as Heil Hitler. So I just think that he's stumbling himself, and I think the powers to be are letting him do that. Again, man tries to outwit.
There it is. There it is. One of the most discrediting things you could do to a person is try to say that they side with Hitler, with the narrative of World War II. That's out in the public. Yeah, if you just want to damage someone's credibility, just say that they say Heil Hitler, right? Right?
With God outwits man. And this thing I just saw recently was the whole thing about him saying, we're now going to create God in our own image. Well, if you're saying you're going to create God in your own image, you are on the final pages of my screenplay. And let's put George Michael back in with the song, Praying for Time, because you are now inadvertently converging back into what it's supposed to be.
I'm praying for all my time back that I spent with you, Tom.
You just proved the screenplay right that was downloaded, faithfully downloaded with compassion and humility, where now I get to meet other great people that have compassion and humility. We certainly all been put to.
I think I demonstrated my compassion and humility here. And I kept my ego in check. And really, the last interview I had with Tom, the subheading was Giant Egos and Narcissists. And then he ran away. So what does that say about Tom?
Yeah, and I think that compassion and humility is coming for them as well. Because I think that once those people that have gone down the dark path, once they see that that is not going to lead to anywhere, and that the path of light is the path that everyone's moving towards now, many of them will come off. So everyone, I believe, has a spark of light, of goodness within them. Some choose to go to the dark side because they're groomed sometimes to be part of the dark side, and very rarely we've seen some people, that have basically broken free from that dark path and have moved into levels of goodness and have exposed stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, you were being groomed to go down the dark path.
Absolutely.
And you broke free.
I said no to the, there's what I think people realize a lot is that there's prompting questions that we go through. I don't know if you experience that too, where it's like they ask you certain questions. It's almost like an exam just you graduate with. And if you answer the questions in their terms properly, then you advance. If you don't, then you're a red flag to them. Like you care too much is a phrase I heard so much. Yeah. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And it's like that means that you're not passing the test, that you could be somebody who thinks with your heart. And that's a big no-no according to the organization. Mm-hmm. What I think, Michael, too, is that a lot of us are going to go through a quandary where we have to search our souls. Are we going to forgive these guys and ladies? I mean, it's like we have to face that now. And where do you draw the line? Because so many people are in a gray area that have maybe felt afraid to move forward when they were called upon, which might be labeled cowardice, or it's just human nature for some, where they're afraid for factors that we don't know. Sure. So it's hard unless we're in their shoes. But it's like, where do you draw the line with who is culpable for, and can, in the screenplay itself, the architect's son, they left that out. The architect's son takes the place of his father, the architect, by taking his neural link and putting it in there and having all his memories and feelings. They left it out. It's actually a really important piece. I think that's pretty cool, where you become your father. And even
cool story, bro. Too bad you'll never read it to us.
On an incredible fast level, whether you like it or not, that's where we're at. So the dark side is losing control because they can't have that creativity and manifest like we can. So we're outpacing them. So we're manifesting the good faster than they create the evil and fear to try and control us.
Exactly.
And we're all racing together forward. And
I really don't like how they're hijacking these concepts of good prevailing over evil. In general, that is true. Objectively, that is true. Good will prevail over evil. And they're just taking this concept and running with it for their own nefarious purposes. It's all selfish on behalf of this jackass and this one.
Outpacing them.
That's the beauty of this whole story, of all our stories. Mm-hmm. It was meant for everyone, this particular piece, but we're all crossing the line together. We're all being victorious together. It was
except Steve Yissilmissil, right?
Written, my piece was given to me, that the code in it basically was that great people of humility and compassion would come together from cross disciplines and solve the world's problems. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. Think tanks are the biggest thing right now in Washington and other places. Think tanks really hold the power. Yeah. Think tanks come up with the plans. Why not have a benevolent think tank? And that's what I believe God gave us. So, when you see organizations and not just in...
You puncture the think tanks that are presented to you, Tom. You drain the think tanks, and then you cast blame onto other people for draining it when you're the one that did it yourself.
In writing and art, but also in invention and creativity in other ways, health and other things, like your Lightwave organization is, when I heard David Schmidt talking, it's like it has a benevolent core. Yeah. And so you're seeing things tied together from all disciplines, all markets, all kinds of things, where we're going to see, even in currency and everything else, come with a heart of benevolence in it. So is this turning into God's world? I think so.
Yeah.
And we who have had been fortunate to walk the walk are now, like the end of Troy, the movie Troy, I got to stand with heroes. And that's how I feel, Michael. And that's how I feel right here. And the people who've been tuning in, I got to stand with heroes. And I wouldn't trade this for the world. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's beautiful. So, Tom, how can people reach you if they want to?
I have a beautiful young lady who formed the website for me. And I said, well, I always forget the names.
The handler. He's forgetting the name of the person who put the website together for him. Can you believe this? The one that he was opining over. Jen. The one that took up a lot of his time when I was at his house. Because she was calling him on the phone and they were chit-chatting. Like they were having gossip hour. That's who he's trying to talk about right now. That he can't remember the name of the person that helped him.
When I'm talking, she goes, I'll make it easy for you. I'll call it TomAlthouse.com. So you can't miss it. You know, it doesn't help me with a...
I'll make it easy for you. I'll name it TomAlthouse.com. Dude, I told him to make it his name, TomAlthouse.com, and he said that was too pretentious.
Werber's claim of egotistical, but the thing is, like, she came up with it as a memorable item is what it really was. So TomAlthouse.com, you can see a lot of the stuff there.
Yeah, that's actually something else he said. And he thought it was too egotistical to use his own name. When really we're going into this era of branding by individuals. So it's like, what the shit, man? Whatever floats your boat, Tom.
I'll be going on Roseanne Barr's show the 29th, and some other shows coming up. But to be here in your home. Thank you.
So he's going back on the Roseanne Barr show. Ain't that something? So she's going to further handle him. And they'll probably talk about Israel.
And God bless your audience, too. You guys really are the heroes out there. That's where Michael and stood with him because, like Michael said, that's what's allowing us to win. That's what's affecting the other side. I could talk to you on blue. I could show you all the evidence. But unless the audiences believe it, they're not going to flinch on the other side. But they'll crumble when you do. So God bless you.
That's beautiful. Beautiful, Tom. Thanks a lot for sharing.
Sure thing.
And you guys know the deal. Stay in a low vibration. We'll see you guys next time.
No, you guys have a low vibration, and I choose to not be in it. Man. What a day, huh? Turn off this low light compensation on here. All right. So what'd y'all think of that? We found out some new information, but really it's not affecting us directly anymore here. But yeah, earlier in the stream I said that he's probably never getting on Roseanne again, but apparently he is in 4 days. Oh well. So I guess look forward to more contrived stories, some questioning from Roseanne. Maybe she'll get him to smoke. Who knows? I doubt that though. But yeah, Roseanne's controlled opposition, and like you've seen what she did with that rap music video about Israel and everything. Like, it's not good. It's not good optics. You know, if he wants to go along with that camp, he thinks they're the winning side, then joke's on him. Because it's not a recognized region by many countries of the world. And they're just very fortunate to have our tax dollars being wasted over there when it could be spent over here to help the people like Nadine Askey is doing with her project of helping Americans recover. But instead, no, let's spend billions across the fucking world. Right? So just be prepared if you do listen to Roseanne's show. There's going to be a lot of Jewish psyop shit going down. And you know what? Like, this is something that I could get arrested for in any other country. There's a lot of other countries that jail people for just even criticizing what Israel is doing. But here, you know, I have the freedom of speech to do so. And it's just not a thing that I agree with. I'd rather focus on our country and keeping it intact and not flooding it with essentially a foreign army. They're not going to assimilate into this culture. It's already obvious. Like, I've seen overhead images of mosques from Texas. And they're just all scattered throughout, like, on the outskirts of Dallas. These people are not going to assimilate to our country. They're not going to take the headscarves off. They're not going to do a lot of stuff. And that might offend some people. You know, sorry, not the channel for you. Take care. But, you know, I'm here voicing my opinion. And I don't agree with what's going on. I don't agree with how our government's spending our tax dollars. I don't agree with how we are taxed or how much we are taxed. To bring it back around to the whole Tom situation. Tom was against cryptocurrency until the fallout with Penny and Beyond the Box. And then Brian Sang got him hooked on the the cryptocurrency. So it's just kind of silly in retrospect. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed today. It's been nearly 2 hours. As we move along with this Let's Talk series, it'll be less and less about the Matrix. We'll get into the actual Wachowskis' stories and what they all, like, the symbology behind all of it, because there's a lot of world symbology, especially in the two sequels, Reloaded and Revolutions. It really feels like it was just put out there to be expanded upon later, which it never did. None of that materialized. I do believe that there was some sort of agreement by the Wachowskis to dress as women. They don't fully believe in doing that stuff. And even if they did believe it, I mean, it's a mental condition. You shouldn't be wearing women's clothes if you're a man. And God didn't make mistakes. God made you exactly how you're supposed to be. And if you're trying to change that, you're defying God. But that's neither here nor there. I hope you're all doing well. I enjoy having you here as company, and also you all participating in the chat. I appreciate it. But I'll be here again on Tuesday, and keep an eye out for the Nadine Askey re-upload with her efforts of helping the victims of these disasters, which again, she agrees that it was a lot of government manipulation that caused this. There was nothing natural about it. So she's out there helping these families that have nothing. And I'd rather see our country take care of itself. It's well past time to stop worrying about the rest of the world, because clearly it's never going to be enough. They're always going to want more taxes. They're always going to be padding their pockets. I just read the other day, $93 billion got siphoned out of the Treasury in the 76 days prior to Trump being sworn in. So from the time that he got elected to the time he got sworn in, $93 billion got given away to institutions that have no financials. And everybody involved in that scheme should be in jail, but they're walking free. And that's one of the many problems that this country has. So we have a lot to work on here at home. And if anybody thinks I'm not being compassionate about everybody in the rest of the world, you're so far away on the other side of the world, if you want to call it another side, if we're all on the same plane here. If we can't take care of what's at home, how can we take care of those abroad? We have to figure out home first. And I'll leave you with all of that. So, until the next one, class dismissed.